Boy, that's some 90s stuff right there.
I know, it's good, isn't it?
Can't believe that made it over to the UK.
I probably just picked it up somewhere and just started throwing it out.
So how's it been going over there for you in the UK? What's the weather like? What are you up to? What's going on?
It's sunny.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's sunny. Went to the garden centre and spent loads of money on plants that are probably going to die in like the next 2 months, but I don't care because right now they're in sunlight.
There you go. All right. Very cool. So no rain for you guys, huh?
Not right now.
Very cool. How long is that expected to last?
I mean, it's the UK, so probably now I've said that, it's probably raining outside.
Yeah. So I'm over here in Illinois, and there's like these sirens that go off freaking all day long, and they're like supposed to be like test sirens if there's like a tornado, but they go
scary.
off. Yeah, right. And they go off all the time, and I'm like, well, if they are testing them constantly,
a tornado.
How the hell are you supposed to know if a tornado's showing up? Like, it's so weird.
That's like the fire alarm that they do all the time at work, and it's like the one time when you go, for God's sake, and you burn to a crisp.
Right, exactly. And then yesterday it got super windy. It was like crazy windy out here, and no fucking sirens. And I'm like, well, now it feels like there's going to be a tornado, and there's no sirens going on.
Maybe the sirens blew away.
It could be. That could be it.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I couldn't live. That's so scary. Oh my God, I'd have to like have a return siren that's like, I've heard your siren, here's my siren.
Yeah, each time it just gets louder and louder. It's like Silent Hill. You ever seen Silent Hill or played the game? That's what it's like here.
Oh God.
It's freaky. Yeah.
So if you stop being available for the podcast, you've been eaten by people.
Right. And it was like the other day it was going off, and there was also like a fire truck or an ambulance driving by at the same time. And it was like the weirdest, creepiest sound in the world, because it wasn't like a typical like siren. It was like really drawn out, like kind of like really long. And it sounded like a banshee. It was like so crazy sounding.
If you hear like the purge noise, you need to hide.
Right? That might be what it is.
Oh my God. Did you have that in America? You know, when everyone first went into lockdown?
What's that?
There was a car that was driving around in the UK, like just pumping out the purge noise.
No, we did not have that.
But they were doing it like whatever the curfew was. I can't remember what the curfew was, but it was like 25 minutes before the curfew. And then as soon as the curfew hit, the car went inside. So they could never get in trouble.
That's funny. Yeah, I never heard of that.
Yeah.
Was there a new Purge movie coming out? Maybe it was like a promotional thing.
I mean, I think it was just some nutcase in a car that had gone like stir crazy from being inside.
Could be.
Because as soon as I saw the video, I thought, oh, wish I'd have done that.
That's funny. All right, Carly, let's get into tonight's drink. I think is aptly titled. It's called the Assassin. This is an interesting one because I don't know of too many like mixed drinks with tequila. Besides,
that's
like
your
a
best
margarita
friend.
or something,
Tequila.
right?
Yeah, tequila, your best friend.
Right. So this is called the Assassin. It's 3 ounces of chilled Coca-Cola, or any sort of like cola, I suppose.
Genuinely thought you were going to say cocaine then.
3 ounces of cocaine. Ooh, you're gonna have
I don't know why.
good time or a bad time.
Right.
3 ounces of chilled Coke, a 1/3 ounce of tequila, a 1/3 ounce of peppermint schnapps, a 1/3 ounce of Jack Daniel's Tennessee whiskey. Pour the whiskey, tequila, and peppermint schnapps into a cocktail shaker, half filled with ice cubes. Shake well and strain into a cocktail glass filled with chilled Coke, and serve. So this one would be pretty interesting. It's got a mix of strange flavors, though. You got tequila, the peppermint schnapps, and also the whiskey mixed with Coke. So this is a curious one. So it almost could be like a Christmas drink. with the peppermint in there. I don't know. This is a pretty interesting one though.
You can't figure out if that sounds nice or not.
Yeah, I don't know either. I think this is like one of those ones where you really have to you have to try it and decide whether you like it or not, because there's such a range of flavors going on here. Who knows?
Right? It's a mixed bag. Yeah, if you see that on the menu and that's expensive, that's like roulette. You're playing a bit of Russian roulette there. Have I just wasted a tenner, or is it actually amazing?
Right? $10 out here would be like $15.
Oh God, the stakes even got higher then.
Oh yeah. Yep. It's expensive. They got $3 beers, but you got to spend $15 on a mixed drink.
Oh, bring your own.
Right. And the title, The Assassin, goes along with tonight's movie, which if you're gotten this far, you're about to hear the trailer. So here we go.
Makes me peaceful.
Me too.
You're not from around here, are you?
No, I'm retired.
What was your job?
I was in the funeral business.
Oh.
As you know, we manage the investments of our employees. If a former agent dies after retirement, their $8 million goes back to the company.
This is a bad idea.
Where the hell is he? Somebody set me up over here. You better pray you have nothing to do with it.
Think of a monster.
You tried to kill the Black Kaiser and kidnap his cute little neighbor. We should pay him so we don't have to look over our shoulder for the rest of our lives. You'll need all of it.
Try not to be scared. You make mistakes when you're afraid.
Thought you stopped smoking.
Figured it wouldn't kill me.
Why are you doing this?
I like her.
You're not a good man, but you're doing a good thing.
Did you happen to see anything peculiar the past couple days?
No.
So that was the trailer for the 2019 neo-noir film Polar, which was released on Netflix. It's a neo-noir action thriller film directed by Jonas Ackerland, who's known for shooting a mass amount of music videos, from everybody from like Madonna to, everybody. he's done anybody since like the early 2000s. He's done a music video for almost. It was written by Jason Rothwell and was based on Victor Santos' 2013 graphic novel Polar, Came from the Cold. The film stars Mads Mikkelsen, if I pronounced that right. I think I did. Vanessa Hudson, Catherine Winnick, and Matt Lucas. And, when we were discussing what films we were going to do, I did a quick search on Google for new neo-noir type films, and this film came up. It was like top of the list for neo-noir. I'm going to venture to say that this isn't really noir at all. I mean, at least to me, there's very little noir influence. But before we actually get into that discussion, we need to do our little Carly's little in a nutshell bit. And now it's time for Carly's super famous in a nutshell synopsis.
Right. 2 weeks from retirement, little does the Black Kaiser realise that he's going to reenact all 3 chapters of John Wick during 1 hour and 30 minutes and potentially with a lot less clothing.
That's funny. Now, I don't. Did you feel that this had a John Wick sort of feel to it?
A little bit, but I don't know if that's just because there was a lot of guns and it was like a lone wolf man.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I thought it was a lot more like I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a movie called The Losers. And I think it came out like the early 2000s, something like that, maybe mid 2000s. Can't remember.
No.
With Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the dude that plays Captain America and Zoe Saldana. It's a really, really fantastic movie. Also based on a comic book. It's basically like the A-Team. I don't know if you know what that is or have you ever watched it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like the A-Team. So, but it's sort of the same kind of film, just way better in my opinion. So I felt like I feel like this movie has, it's funny because it just popped in my head, is bipolar. Because it's got this really cool sort of assassin retirement sort of feel, and then you got this comic booky assassin James Bond kind of story thing going on that's intercut with, and the two, in my opinion, just really don't mix well.
No,
with
because
each other.
Also some of it was like it had quite a lot of dark humor in it.
Mm-hmm. Sure,
which worked quite well, which went with the kind of assassin story. Like when he's doing his job description and he's like, "Oh, I was in the funeral business." Best euphemism ever. Like,
right?
Oh yeah, I was just in the funeral business. You put them in the coffins, mate. And then, like when he's doing the hitman class, I mean, that should have just been its own film, quite frankly. He retires.
Oh, that was hilarious!
And becomes a teacher. Yeah. That was amazing. And all the parents, that would have been me if I was a parent. Like, yeah, go on, get another knife out. Go on, come pay attention, love.
Right?
And like when he killed the dog, and then his chat up lines, "Oh, I used to have a dog." That shot in the head.
Yeah, there was some great moments
really
there.
Like that. Yeah. But then when the kill squad like tried to be funny, and what was going on with Matt Lucas, I've got no idea. That kind of went into the other weird sort of section that you're talking about, but it did not quite work the same. I don't think.
No,
anyway.
Yeah, I don't either. And I think I had a problem from the very beginning because it opens with that sort of comic booky, scene with Johnny Knoxville and stuff. And it's so over the top. And like, I was just like, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake picking this movie? Like, this is not anything what we should be reviewing. And then it kicks into like the Mad Mikkelsen section, and it's like, oh, okay, this is more comfortable. This feels more like what we should be watching.
Yeah.
But every time it would go back and forth, it was like it's such a like the story itself is like contrasting too much, and they're just polar opposites of each other. They just don't work together. And I even venture to say I want to take this movie and re-edit it and take out all the comic book stuff, and just let the Mads section play out and put as minimal stuff from the Kill Squad as possible just to get the story. But I think it could be a really cool movie in there without a lot of the weird, flashy, over the top,
like Kill Bill sort of style stuff.
Yeah.
Did you not think like the Murder Squad? They were almost like the Z-list version of the Kill Bill squad.
Yeah, even like up a notch, even like it was just like, I don't know. It was so contrasty to the other stuff. It just didn't work for me at all. And it didn't even feel like there was like, they were trying to balance it. It was just like, when we see these people, it's going to be crazy over the top. But we see this, it's going to be more grounded and realistic.
Yeah, nice and solemn and kind of like more noir-y.
Right. And I'm like, how did they get Mads to do this? I'm like, did they only show him that part of the script?
Yeah, because he was really good.
He was.
I really enjoyed him. Being a little lone man going to the video shop, getting confused by people at chatter and like stuff like that. Like just looking forward to getting his money and stuff.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty solid. And, it even reminded me quite a bit of The Professional. Especially towards the end of the film. So I thought that was pretty interesting too, because I was kind of hoping that it, like the end of the movie, I thought was super predictable. But I don't really hold it against it because of how they dealt with it. Like they didn't have her kill him, and they do this sort of like, okay, so what are we going to do now sort of thing. And that sort of like fixed it for me, because I thought from the very beginning, like this, it was really predictable. Like this obviously is, somebody who knows who he is or something, there's something going on.
Yeah.
And then when they spin the story and you see the flashbacks, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty obvious. We would never know because they didn't tell us any of that story ahead of time. But it was pretty predictable in that aspect. But once she didn't kill him and they sort of let that play out a little bit, I was like, this really feels a lot like The Professional. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Did that come up for you at all when you were watching it or not?
Yeah, I mean, I could have done without the twist.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, I think I quite liked their relationship, because it was kind of like it was like a friendship. He was like learning to have a friend and kind of like learning to be around people.
Mm-hmm.
And I quite liked that. And I didn't think, if they'd have gone in a romantic way, I think I would have felt the same as the twist, because to me the twist was just completely unnecessary. It could have just finished with him going finding her and helping her, and then her sort of learning that he was about his past, and him telling her the most horrific thing that he'd done, which was the flashback, and her kind of deciding, well, we can be friends or we can't, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I personally would have liked, because if she decided not to be his friend, that kind of would have been the same as if she'd have died. So it would have had the same impact on that character, because he's still lost somebody that he was forming a connection with. And if she decided, well, we can still kind of get to know each other, it points to the romantic element without shoving it down your throat, which I would have been okay with. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't necessarily mind the twist so much, other than I think that it was like you could just kind of see something coming. Like you knew that there was going to be something like that happening, but you just didn't know what it was. But I kind of I understand where you're coming from. And I think that could have worked pretty well too. I don't know that the way that they played her would have been different had they done that, because for some reason, like she's nervous and scared and, recognizes him and all that kind of stuff. Like you see all that stuff. So they would have definitely had to have changed that a little bit. And I agree, had they went the romantic route, that would have ruined it for me more, because that was one of the things I thought was a little bit interesting, because that's, that whole romantic thing, that's so Hollywood. That's exactly what most films would have done. And it was far more interesting having them not be romantically involved, and then
I always find it interesting, because I know it's probably what audiences like, but more experienced people than us have obviously.
But every time you meet a guy or a girl, you're not going to be a romantic.
Fall in love. No, and I think sometimes like friendships can be more valuable than relationships. Like if you're wanting to show character growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't just, you don't just marry somebody and then it's just the two of you forever.
Unless you're crazy.
Unless you're crazy. Yeah. And then you both you're locked in the house. But you don't they have their friends, you have your friends, you have friends together. Like each one of those sort of like pieces makes you livable.
Right. Yeah.
Let's be honest.
Yeah,
if I didn't have you to talk to, Street would probably have caved my head in years ago.
Right. Well, that poor guy. He's got to deal with you.
Exactly.
No. I agree with that. And I think that was probably the one great thing that they did with that story, and is not making them a romantic, couple or something involved or something like that. Like he was genuinely trying to help her, whatever it might be. And they don't go any further than that. And I thought that was useful as far as the story goes. I was a little bit, not skeptical, but just like sort of felt like it was out of character when he picks up the, one of the assassins on the road, like the whole car broken down
Why
thing.
would
I'm
you?
like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole section was just sort of like silly to me. I guess they just needed to get from point A to point B or something, but I just thought that didn't work. And it was just, he's smarter than that, right?
And he's been set up to be that smart. So why would he fall for that?
No. And then like how silly it is, like when they're sleeping together in the bed and like at the right time, he lifts her up to get her shot. And it's just like, it's so silly. Like, how would he know? Like, just didn't
and
make
then
any
he like
sense.
kills them all, rolling around butt naked in a snowstorm.
Yeah, that's the only section where I would have been like, okay, that's kind of John Wicky.
Yeah. I mean, John Wick did it all with his clothes on, people.
That's true. Yeah. Well.
Yeah. I will say that it was nice to see a realistic portrayal of injuries. If you were a hitman, if me or you were a hitman and we got like stabbed in the arm or had a scrap, we'd be struggling for a couple of days. Take me off the hitman list because, I need to patch myself up.
I don't know. I think Carly would struggle through. I think Carly would go ahead and just keep killing.
My foot that's this. I will avenge. And I feel like the only thing sometimes I think it's difficult because John Wick's its own entity. So it has like the whole secret doctors and the hotel and all this stuff that like patches you up. So you have to kind of look at that in its own little world. But generally speaking, they will just get shot in the shoulder. And then just next minute, they're right as rain, fighting, with the arm that they've just had shot at.
Yeah, that's pure adrenaline. That's what it is. Yeah, write that in the script. Pure adrenaline keeps them going.
Yeah. The adrenaline's pumping, so no one will know that they're missing a finger.
No, I agree with that. And like after he got strung up and was like tortured and everything, man, there were some gnarly looking wounds on that dude.
Whoa, that torture that was too much for me.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't show it all.
Skip that. Yeah, I was not enjoying that at all.
Yeah, there was
the eyeball slicing.
Stuff. Oh yeah,
I could have done without that.
Because you don't like eyeballs.
I don't know. No.
Well, let's just pretend that's the reason why I picked this movie for you.
I mean, I feel like it is. To imagine me sat there going, oh!
You should have had some sort of idea that was going to happen when the posters got him with an eye patch, and then you see him through most of the movie without an eye patch.
Well, I thought he was going to get an eye patch right at the end. Like right at the very end. I thought he was going to, I didn't think he was just going to, oh no. No, thank you.
Yeah.
You thought it would be like Thor, where, like, she scoops his eye out, but you don't really see. It was going to be like that. I didn't think there was going to be like instruments and close-ups and slicing. Oh, no.
So, would you like what the main bad guy? What'd you think of him? What's his name?
Matt
know his name?
Lucas.
Matt Lucas, yeah. What is he in besides this movie?
He was George Dawes in like a funny panel show called Shooting Stars, which is actually quite funny. He's in Doctor Who as well for a little bit. He was in a series called Little Britain, and he pops up in a few different things. I think he's in one of the Alice in Wonderland films, I think. And he's quite funny. But that, I could not deal with that. I don't know why were people rubbing stuff on his legs and feet? And
That's the whole James Bond villain thing for me. Like, I thought was silly. Like, I for whatever reason, I actually liked him in this movie, but it was so over the top and silly. All I could think of is like some weird, like outlandish, like James Bond kind of thing. And it was so crazy over the top, but he was interesting and fun. He's crazy though.
I think but then again, like you said about it being like not quite marrying up. His like the character, right, and like the villain, they were just nowhere near similar. Because you had this like brewing, stoic, eye-patched man, and then you had like him, who's like a little ball of just insanity, dressed strange.
Right. But he's covered by a bunch of assassins and a whole team, though. So
yeah, well, I mean, they did bloody well, didn't they? At the end, when he's going, oh yeah, let him come in, I'll fuck him up, everyone runs away. That was like a scene out of Austin Powers.
Right?
You know, like the day in the life of a henchman.
Yeah.
What's that? And then the secretary's just like, oh, what a kerfuffle, can't get the blood out. And then goes back to a desk.
That was pretty funny,
no, and it was probably probably the dark humor was what was supposed to marry them both up. But I just thought because he was such a dramatic, dark character with no real fun about him, and then his nemesis didn't even get to fight him. Yeah. There was no real fight there. Once the murder squad were gone, there was nothing.
They just cut away. Like you see the axe slide down into his hand, cut away, and then
his head flies off.
I mean, in reality, that's exactly the way it probably would have happened, though.
Yeah, you know.
Here's no chance.
Yeah, it was not happening, was it? And when the guys ran off, I mean, you're screwed. When your army's running in the opposite direction.
Yep. Now, have you ever seen the comic book? I've never seen it or heard of it. No,
not at all. But see, maybe it's a bit like The Boys where that's the kind of style of the comic book, though. So maybe it is really, really comic book accurate.
It could be, but I feel like there has to be. I know some people get pissed off with adaptions, you know, whether it's books to movies or comics to movies, because they change, they're different.
Yeah, and you can never quite get all of it in.
Right. But the whole reason to adapt it to the screen is for, like, you know, to widen the audience, to allow it to be more accessible to people who haven't read the books, not just for the fans, the, you know, people of the books or the comics, but people outside that. Right. So I feel like there has to be some concessions that are made to make it more appealing and more, you know, just to have more mass appeal for other people to watch it. And I think that even if, you know, you are a fan of the comic, you have to be able to watch this movie and see how those, you know, those different styles don't really balance in a film as to where they might in a comic. Because in a comic, you might get, you know, issue number 12 has all this crazy over the top action. And then issue 13 might be just the lead character, like, you know, licking his wounds and, you know, doing, you know,
reflecting.
More mundane shit. Right. And then issue 14 might be a bunch of crazy action or whatever, you know, so you get those sort of breaks, almost more like a serial than a film. So I think that, like that's kind of the movie's undoing, really, is not being able to balance those elements. So if it is comic accurate, I think that they should have done more to, you know, I guess change it up enough to make it more appealing as an hour and a half, hour and 45-minute movie, whatever it was.
Well,
So
looked
it
at a
wasn't so
different
jarring.
format.
Yeah,
Looked at a different format.
It's just so jarring, you know. But other movies and other series and things are able to balance it, like say Watchmen, or even the original Watchmen movie or the series. Both balance that sort of comic book seriousness, pretty well. And even most of the
Boys
Marvel
does
stuff
very well. The Boys is a really good example.
Oh yeah.
Of balancing quite well, because there's enough familiarity for the loyal comic book base for them to accept, okay, well, this has changed, but we're okay with that because this is rigid.
Right. And Polar reminds me of a lot of, say, like Wolverine, where I think that's also another Marvel movie where they were able to sort of give the comic aspects of it more of a grounded real world sort of feel, but you still have this sort of like neo-noir kind of lead character. So if you watch something like Logan, that reminded me a lot of the Mads section of Polar as well.
Yes.
And I think I think maybe it just comes down from the director hasn't done a lot of films. He's done like maybe 4 or 5 films, and mostly of what he's done is music videos.
That makes sense, because if you imagine some of that in a music video, that would probably leave you quite impressed, thinking, oh God, I wish that was a film.
Right. Yeah.
Because you get inside, say 3-4 minutes of, even if it's not well balanced, you've got the music as a distraction. Then you've got this kind of character. You've got these really sort of bright characters, and then you've got the conflict with all of the other stuff missing. So yeah, that makes a little bit of sense, because if you were watching that as a music video, you go, oh, that's fab.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's probably where, it was coming from is from all the music videos that he's done. And, speaking of music, the opening scene of this movie was shot at Deadmau5's house, who also did the soundtrack for it. I don't know if you know who that is. I don't really listen to him, but
I have no idea, but I'm not down with the kids.
Yeah, I think he's like an EDM artist or something like that. I'm not really big on it. A friend of mine is like, that's like his favorite. So this is goes out to you, Matt. But it was I guess shot at his house, that whole backyard scene with Johnny Knoxville. It's crazy, over the top ridiculousness. And I guess after that happened, they had tapped him to do the soundtrack, which is weird because from what I read, most of the score that he did was repurposing other tracks that he had already released, and there's really only 2 new tracks on the entire soundtrack, which is, if you're a fan, I guess you'd be kind of gypped on that, right?
Money for old rope, really.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, that's a good number if you can get it. It's a bloody good number.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, that's how it goes, I guess, Wonder if they paid him. Might be his first soundtrack. I don't know. Who knows?
Maybe it's just the excitement of Johnny Knoxville getting popped off in his yard.
I can't stand that guy personally.
Oh, see, no, it's okay. So I always used to have this opinion of Johnny Knoxville, because Street and other people used to watch, oh God, what is it? Where they bloody
Jackass.
put nail guns in the balls. Jackass. So they used to watch it, and I'd just be in passing, going to the kitchen going, what the hell is this shit?
Right.
What are they doing? And then Street would explain to me what they're doing, and my response would be the same. What the hell is this shit, and what are they doing? And I would just sort of dismiss it. And then I watched, oh God, I'm going to get it wrong. Is it not bad? Is it Bad Grandpa? The one where he's dressed up as, oh my God, I watched that with Street, right? Because we were having a film night and he picked it, and I had no option because I'd made him watch Memento or something, and he was just fucking bamboozled. And I'd made him be silent through the whole film so he couldn't ask questions about what was going on. And then I watched that. I was honest, I was very close to wetting myself.
It's
And
funny.
I'm happy to admit that. Yeah. And ever since then, whenever I've seen Johnny Knoxville's name on something, I'm a bit like, oh, you might have to watch that.
Yeah, no. I haven't liked him in anything other than Bad Grandpa. That's the only thing I thought was good. I can't stand him. Yeah, he wasn't even, from what I understand, he wasn't even one of the original Jackass people. Like MTV brought him in. He's the only person that was an actor on that show. Everybody else was like the originators of it. And then MTV brought him in as sort of like the star kind of
And
thing.
Nicole Scherzinger of Jackass.
What's that?
The Nicole Scherzinger of Jackass.
I don't know who that is.
Because she wasn't an original Pussycat Doll, was she?
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea.
They just brought her in.
Is that you talking about the band or the movie?
I didn't even know there was a movie. Like the band.
Oh, yeah. The band.
Yeah.
Okay.
The burlesque band, whatever they are.
Yeah. I don't know. But, all right. Well, I don't have a whole lot more to say about this movie just because I don't want to totally trash it, but, you know.
I think I see why people would like it. Extreme sort of violence and over the top cartoony sort of kill squads are just not my thing, unfortunately. I think I could have dealt with one or the other.
Yeah, I just think
Not
that
both.
there's better movies out there that are sort of the same vein. Like even what's that British show or movie? Oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now. Kingsman.
I mean, there's a few. Kingsman. We watched that the other day.
Yeah. Like even that is like sort of the same vein, but that's awesome. Like it's a great movie.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
Yeah, because it hasn't got that weird. It hasn't got that sort of, I don't know how to describe it. Flashy is not the right word, but it hasn't got that kind of flashy caricature.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, it's
sort
funny
of
because
characters. They're still over the top, but they're within like a box.
Right. It's more balanced to the whole movie. Like everybody's sort of like on the same level.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they don't fluctuate.
Mm-hmm.
And for every, over the top character, you have a serious one that's like, no, this is a serious business. You will look at the umbrella and you will look at it properly. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but see, I think that
because the lead character's kind of like in a situation that 95% of the country can relate to,
mm-hmm.
that in itself helps you to ground out the other bits. Whereas who the hell can relate to being a hitman?
True. I never thought of that, but that's a good point. Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, but we can all relate to knowing somebody or being the person in the pub in a bad situation. It gets too mouthy, nicks a car, and then even so, like the favour thing isn't ridiculous because you just think, oh God, I wish I had that. Not oh, for Christ's sake, well that's ridiculous, and start picking faults in it.
Right.
Because my biggest issue with the film was, why are the people on the murder squad going to kill him, knowing full well that the same's going to happen to them if they reach their retirement? The first thing I'd be doing is, you can get stuff, mate. I'm going to help the bloody guy. I'm going to send him a text and go, listen, mate, they're after you. Would you like us to, go and take them all down and we'll split the bloody money?
Right. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that leads me to the old guy in the bar, Richard Dreyfuss of all people. Like that was what out of the fucking blue, like seeing him in the bar, and then he turns on him. That was crazy to me. Why would he do that?
Yeah.
And why is he the only one that actually got to fucking retire without being killed?
Yeah. They're coming for him next, mate. I tell you what.
Yeah.
So that whereas like when you compare it to like Kingsman's probably a good example. Like all you think about in the Kingsman is like, oh God, I hope he gets another fancy fucking shoe. I hope he gets that fucking lighter that blows up.
Right.
Stop being mean, Michael Caine. Give him a bloody top hat that like poisons people.
Yeah. That's true. All right, Carly, I think we're at that time to give this movie a rating. I cannot wait. Can't wait to see what you rate it.
Well,
All right.
I think you got to go first because you
gotta go
picked
first?
it.
Okay.
Yeah, you inflicted this on us.
All right. So I'm torn on my rating with this because I really do like the Mads section of the movie. And I don't fully hate the comic book section. I think that there's like, even though the story is absurd, like you've just pointed out with why would the assassins go after him if they know the same thing's gonna happen to them? It's absolutely bonkers. Like it doesn't make any sense, but suspension of disbelief ad nauseum in this movie. Had they dealt with those sections a little more evenly with the Mads Mikkelsen sections, I think that this could be a much better movie than it is. But sadly, I do just go back to, that concept. I believe this movie is like polar opposites of each other. They don't mix together. There wasn't a great balance from the director. I think the acting in the movie was great. I think everybody in the movie was just perfectly on pitch as far as what they were doing. So I don't think that any of the actors should be faulted. I purely think it's from a script standpoint and a directorial standpoint that the movie sort of fails itself. And I feel like a 5 is too good for this movie, but because I'm sort of split on the two halves of it, I'm just gonna go ahead and give it a 5 because I do think that the Mad section is worth it. And I think that if you're into those sort of high octane action films that are over the top, you might like it, but you might also be disappointed with the more grounded real world section. And if you're more into that real world sort of grounded John Wick style of action movie, you might be disappointed with the over the top. And I think another movie that's a good balance, like if you want something like this film, would be The Losers. I think that's sort of a pitch perfect version of this film. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 gens out of 10.
Oh, you did higher than me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I give it a 4.
Really? All right. I thought Mads would just send it over the top for you. I thought it'd be like a 7 just because he's in it.
No, that's the 4. He is the 4.
Ah, I see.
No, I agreed with you. I think all the acting was good. And again, I agreed with you. I really, really like the time with him. And like that when he's in that hotel and he takes down all them people, just like, no problem, and just walks out. Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. But I just think it was, on a personal level, it was far too violent for me. And I think that towards the end prioritized over anything else, which is probably not understanding the comic. It's probably a graphic and violent comic. So that's probably why that's in there. But it's just not my cup of tea. And top that with sort of the comical sort of kill squad situation, which the first scene I actually really liked when they took down Johnny Knoxville. I thought that was a great mix of daftness, organisation, and then like a swoopy helicopter. That was great. It's just no other time when they were being a highly sought after kill squad did they ever do that. They shot a fat man 16 times because they yelled at him and he didn't give them the information.
Right.
So that even those scenes to me were a struggle because I was expecting more of the James Bond-esque kind of like Kill Bill, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess sort of. I completely disagree with that opening scene. I thought that was ridiculous, but I kind of get what you mean, because it still felt James Bond to me. So I don't, you know what I mean? Because all the James Bond villains are like so over the top and ridiculous. And that's one of the main reasons why I can't stand James Bond. Like I just don't like James Bond because of that. It's just so silly.
I think there was just a little bit more of organized killing. It's probably the best way I can describe it. All the other scenes when they were, you did not need 5 of them to do what they were doing.
No, absolutely not. No,
they didn't. All they resorted to was yelling, punching, or shooting. That was it.
Yeah,
I think
they
the
were
last
just
good scene with them was when they were with the accountant.
even so, but I mean, that's
Even
like
that
I
was
still
just they
think that was
beat
too
him up.
much. Yeah,
Yeah, even that was just that they beat him up. They were just being a little bit more menacing about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I would have really, really preferred personally just to have a little bit more of Mads and Van
Mhm.
and them interacting and then something happening from his past and then him having to deal with it. And to me, I think I just wanted that bit more than crazy, over the top assassins that are getting paid far too much for their job, quite frankly.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to end up not getting paid anything because they're all going to be. Well, no, they're not because they killed the bad guy. Well, they're all dead too. Never mind. Scratch everything I've just said. It makes
The
not
Matrix
as much
people
sense as
do
a
not
movie.
get the takeover. Hey, wouldn't it be a scream if that little secretary ended up in charge of everything?
Oh, that would have been hilarious. Yeah. Like that's his mom.
See that? Yeah, right at the end, she's like, she's just there with her fucking Hoover and some vanish trying to get the blood out the rug. And it turns out she's the Don and she's in charge now.
Yeah.
And she gives everybody a pay rise.
That would have been pretty good. That could have led to a sequel, unfortunately. Yeah. Well, all right, guys. That's 5 gens from me, and that's 4 gens from Carly. We think that I don't think that we recommend this movie, huh?
I mean, it's always good to watch a movie.
Sure.
To see different styles. It's never bad. And it's always good to watch Mads. You might need a little bit more courage, a bit of Dutch courage.
Is this the lowest one we've rated?
I think it's the lowest one that I've rated.
Lowest, yeah. Interesting.
Maybe I can't remember if you've done a 5 or not.
I think you need to add something to our website where it shows all the ratings that we've given the films. That could be cool. Don't you think?
Little categories. Recommended watch list. 5 gins, 2 gins, 3 gins.
Exactly. Yeah. I think we need that.
We'd have to do overall, though. Overall gins.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. That works. All right. Well,
we could add little affiliate links for the filmmakers so people can buy their DVDs and then they wouldn't be as mad at us.
Right. I don't think any of these movies we're reviewing, either the directors are dead or, they're doing all right. I don't want
nobody to come back and talk me through the TV that isn't Frank Sinatra.
Right. All right, folks, that's it. That was Polar, the 2019 Netflix film starring Mads Mikkelsen. If you enjoyed this episode, you should check us out on the next one when we review one of my favorite films of all time. So I guess
spoiler alert.
have a drink with your assassin and watch Polar if you're up to it. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
He's looking at you, kid.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Speakeasy Noircast. Make sure to visit our website, resurrectionfilms.net, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or any of your favorite podcast apps so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes, or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you like the show, you might want to check out our book, The Dark Side of Acting Up and The Dark Side of Acting Up Volume 2, now available on Amazon. Or you can check out one of our films, also available on Amazon Prime. Be sure to tune in next week for another episode of the Speakeasy Noircast.